By now, you've all likely heard the story of Liam Conejo Ramos, who was detained in Minnesota at just 5 years old and placed in a detention center with his dad. Now, I want to give you a little bit of context into what the posture of his immigration process was and why his detention was so unlawful. Because the media shows you obviously a very sympathetic picture of a child being detained, which should never happen. But some Trump supporters argue, well, they were in the country unlawfully, and so this is bound to happen. And that's where they're wrong. Beyond just generally not having a policy of detaining 5-year-olds. But that excuse of, well, if you weren't in the country unlawfully, his dad wouldn't have put him at risk of being detained is just completely wrong. So let's talk about where he was in his process and why he was in the country and is in the country lawfully. He entered in 2024 with his dad from Ecuador. They entered and immediately were processed and placed in removal proceedings. Removal proceedings are deportation proceedings. In other words, they showed up at a port of entry or were detained near the border, and CBP says, hey, you don't have status, you don't have a visa, so we're going to process you for entry, but you need to report to court and, basically state a claim for why you are able to stay in the United States. And they, shortly thereafter, sought asylum. They filed an asylum application, which is still pending in EOIR. EOIR is the removal proceedings or deportation court for people that don't understand the system. So their claim is pending in deportation court. And this whole time, they've complied with the rules. They've filed their asylum application. It remains pending, and they're detained by ICE. You cannot say that, one, they have a claim pending while at the same time stating they are not authorized to be here. Those two things just don't work together. So long as their claim is pending and a decision hasn't been made in their removal proceedings, they are authorized to be here. So therefore, despite the fact that they might not have lawful status, in other words, they don't have a green card or they don't have a visa that they entered with, they are authorized to be here while that claim is pending and until a judge makes a final decision on their case. So let's not be confused here and, state that because they don't have a visa or they don't have permanent residence that they are not authorized to be here. They followed every rule and are saying, hey, make a decision while it's pending. We will live and work lawfully because you get issued a work authorization and wait it out. And they were in the process of complying with every court order that had been issued, every deadline that had been issued, and waiting for a judge to give them a final date for adjudication of their asylum claim.